Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Political Waffle. So, I was perusing X today, as you do, wasting time, and there was a post on here by a lady called Jessica Elgott, and I believe she's the deputy political editor for The Guardian. And in this post, she makes the remark that you wouldn't know it from the front pages, but Labour's workers' rights reforms are probably the most popular thing the government is doing. So, in this post, Jessica's attempting to say that this is a very, very popular thing that the government's doing and it should be applauded. So, in the interests of due diligence, I went on to .gov.uk and looked up the press release for the government unveiling significant reforms to employment rights, and I had a look through this particular bill. Now, I run a business and I keep an eye on the jobs market. I understand the jobs market, I understand business, and I understand how difficult it is to hire the right people. Any business has that problem, and I understand how difficult it can be. Now, in terms of this employment rights bill, this has been introduced in Parliament, allegedly to tackle poor working conditions and benefit businesses and workers. Whether it does that or not, let's see. This is ahead of the International Investment Summit, where the government wants to reveal these landmark reforms. 2, and I quote here, boost pay and productivity, showing the benefits of a pro-business, pro-worker approach. So let's have a look through what this actually means. So for a start, there's an existing 2-year qualifying period for protections from unfair dismissal, and that'll be removed. So a little bit of a pressure there on a business. You may say, well, surely you don't want employees to suffer under a bad employer. And surely if you've been dismissed unfairly, then that shouldn't really matter to a decent employer. And by and large, that's a fair argument. But it is a pressure. So if you get somebody who is a malicious person, who's attempting to join a company for a nefarious purpose and wants to just get their foot in the door and immediately looking for a problem, then this will help those types of people. Many businesses, if they're an active business, treat their staff well. You have to treat your staff correctly or they won't work for you. They're not productive. All employers know that. So that one isn't really a help to business. That's not pro-business. The government will also consult on a new statutory probation period for new hires. So this is going to allow for a proper assessment of an employee's suitability to the role. Well, I can virtually guarantee you that all employers do a proper assessment of the employee's suitability. They don't just walk out onto the street and say, hello, would you like to come and work for us? They're going to pay this person money. And as a result of that, they're going to make sure that they've got the right person. And then it goes on to say, as well as reassuring employees that they have rights from day one, enabling businesses to take chances on hires while giving more people confidence to re-enter the job market or change careers, and improving their living standards. So what you're really saying there is, there's 1,000 instances, but let's say you have a lady who comes to work for you and you take this person on, and a day after you've taken them on, this person then will say, I need to take a couple of years off because I'm having a baby, or whatever the legalities of that are. Then you have that expense to take on. Giving somebody rights from day one does not embed the employee correctly. Employers want employees to be happy in the main. They want them to want to work for them. They want them to be productive. and to protect the employer who is actually, after all, paying money to this person to come and work for them, enabling those rights from day one will, like it or not, put a bit of a stopper on people taking people on. It's not going to increase the amount of people who are coming off unemployment. It's not going to boost job growth. It's going to have the opposite effect on that. Now, there's a number of other things here, and there's a number of other statements that have been brought out. Now, you could say, and to surmise, there's an argument here to protect workers, and that is fair. Workers do need protection. However, I would argue that if you were to look at the current legalities of employee protection, and you were to put all of those on your desk, it would probably break your desk under the strain. There is already a raft of these types of measures. And in every single instance, the government will come out and say, we are without doubt a pro-business, pro-growth. But at every opportunity, either when they are bringing out new laws, or they are making changes to the tax system, or whatever it is that they're doing, they signal the opposite. Now, recently, I saw that the amount of, or the percentage of workers who are employed by the public sector as opposed to private is 44%. So, of the 100% of people that are employed, 44% of those people are working for the public sector. Now, that figure will change. What do you think happens when that figure increases? Is it better for the country or worse? What happens when that figure reaches 50%? Because that figure is continually increasing year on year. And every time one of these things comes out, it makes it harder for business. It also makes it harder for people to start businesses. So let's say if you wanted to start a business and you need to employ a few people, you know now in the future that all of these people that you're going to employ will have full workers' rights from day one, which puts a pressure on you starting that business. Outside of the fact that the national insurance changes that were brought in with the last budget have made it much more difficult, on top of the current raft of regulations that all businesses have to cope with, on top of whatever's coming down the pipe, because at the next budget, I have a very strong suspicion that business is going to be hit again. All of this is only going one way at the moment. And the more and more that Labour talk about being pro-business, pro-growth, and the more and more every single thing they do goes directly against that, the more foolish this government looks. Now, going down this list of people who've had these glowingly positive references, I mean, you've got Angela Rayner here. This is the biggest upgrade to rights at work for a generation. That sounds nice to say. The Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds. It's our mission to get the economy moving. Right? Well, why are you bringing this out then? And these list of people goes on and on and on. A lot of these people, and certainly these two ministers here, have got no clue what it's like to run a business, no clue how difficult it is, no clue what it's like to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning sweating because you're worried about whether everything's going to be continuing or not. These people have no clue about it, and they are coming out with shiny new things to say, like, this is the biggest change, the biggest upgrade to rights at work for a generation, boosting pay and productivity. with employment laws fit for a modern economy. She wouldn't know what that was. She wouldn't understand it. She's never ran a business. She's never had to pay anybody. This is very, very bad for business. And the Labour Party needs to get to grips with the fact that they need to change course. They need to stop what they're doing and turn this boat around. And then business will respond. If you want to promote growth, you lower tax. If you want to promote growth, you decrease regulation on business. It's not overly complicated. The government does not create growth. Businesses create growth. All the government has to do is get out of the way and allow businesses and entrepreneurs to bring in the taxes that this country so desperately needs. Thank you.